back to Citizen Sleeper. I hope this stream is working. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, to be fair, to be real. Alright, good. It's up and it's running. Let's get going. Good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody, and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And I got 3 6s. Talk about bad luck, or good luck. But I have to make sure to finish off this mission too. Yeah, let's talk to Rabia about it. Even before you enter the office, you can hear the sound of Rabia working the heavy bag. She's hammering it, the chains creaking as it screeches with each hit. She's been like this since. Sabine doesn't finish the sentence. They are sitting on a stool looking at the terminal in the corner, searching through the SNR data you pulled all those cycles ago. Is she okay? Just angry. We all are. But you have to remember, she knew Yannick for a long time. Sabine glances nervously at Rabia. What SNR did, that is not... yeah. If she knew him that long, it would make sense that she'd get mad about it. Rabia stops punching, and in the silence you can hear her breathing hard. Sabine looks over at her, and you sense something between them. You realize you haven't seen them together since they tried to kill each other in the same unit. A lot has changed since then. Dang. What happened? They hooked him up like a puppet. Rabia hits the bag. Rigged that thing in his head so they could control him. Pushed the old Yannick out. I didn't know why he let them in. Rabia throws a few more punches. But it's a lesson. Don't let them in. Another flurry. Yet again, shouldn't deal with corporations, and we never will again. She spits. She comes away from the bag. At least Yannick's death has been treated as natural. There's a chance he can come back from this. That Yatagan can hold on. We can come back from this. That Yatagan can hold on. But there are opportunists trying to take control. Sabine turns to you. Yes, but now the connections have been broken. I've been looking for removing the trackers from the implants and Yatagan enforcers. It's a significant job, but I think with time I can do the surgeries. Rabia walks away from the bag and towards the far side of the unit. Those surgeries will never happen if Yatagan collapses. If Yatagan collapses, she shouts back at Sabine. Clearly, this is a well-worn argument in this unit. Is Yatagan gonna collapse fully? I don't think so. No, Rabia doesn't either. They look over at her. At least not when she's calm. What I understand now is that Yatagan can be something if we want it to be. And coming here from SNR, from the core worlds, all I saw was a gang, and with Yannick keeping me in tight leash, she shudders. Rabia believes, and I want that belief. They look unsure. I also want to be done with SNR, but I couldn't. I doubt that they are done with me. They glance away, rubbing their shoulder. Are you and Rabia Sabine fixes you a look. Yes, sleeper. Isn't that obvious? They smile. I've been wanting to say, Sabine begins nervously. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you where I came from. I know I've apologized before, but I want to again. They pause. Properly. When I leaked the data on the sleeper program, it was to try to help people like you. They grit their teeth. But after all the cycles here, being pushed down, pushed around, trying to survive, all that got away from me. So when you turned up, they sigh, it shook me up. They run a hand through their hair, but I ended up here, so they look at Rabia. Oh, of course. They reach into a pocket and take out a handful of vials. These are the last of the case. You can have them. They drop them into your hands. After these last few, I don't know what we can do. With the SNR connection broken, they look down. But I know there are other ways. Repairs, other pharmaceuticals. I even heard that are some labs in the Greenway. Perhaps they can help. Yeah, they already have. I have an infinite source of stabilizer, essentially. It takes forever to do. They meet your eye. I'm sorry I can't come over. Thank you for all of this. For all of the stabilizers, I mean. Thanks for the stims. They look away, their eyes bright with tears. Rabia crosses back to you both and sits beside Sabine. They look at each other, and you can't help but smile at the idea of them together. Aw, so they're together now. Oh, that's so cool. I thought that they were eternal rivals or something for a second, because they kept fighting. I see it as couple fighting now. What are you two plotting? Rabia grins. Sabine laughs, and the sound is a welcome one. You watch the two of them teasing each other and smile. Later, when you leave, you take a handful of vials out of your pocket and look at them. You can still feel that core of anger deep down inside you, and you don't know if it will ever leave. But this ARP doesn't own you anymore. They can't, because this place, these people, own you. They are what makes you get up every cycle. They are what keeps you breathing. You put the vials away and walk through the low end, your senses tuned to every sight, every smell, and every sound, soaking it all in, living. She gave me 3. That doubled my points. Also, another 2. I'm gonna put it in, indoor. 'Cause screw it. Ooh, the tree's almost grown. Okay, I have 3 stabilizers. I have 6 stabilizers, and I have 3 6 dice. He's almost done too with the thing. With the thing. I could throw a 6 into each of these because it would work, but these 2 are better to throw them into because they have higher risk warnings. I need 3 spores. I'll give them the ship mine replacement. And I'm gonna put one of these 6s in here, definitely. And even though this is safe and I don't need to use it, I want to progress this one too. And that's all. Let's use a stabilizer just cause. That'll give me back those 2 dice and I can do more in the next cycle at least. A bunch of 4s. I'm getting a lot of singles like lined up. Alright. Peek got that done, that's good. I'm gonna see if I can get some more spores real quick. That's also grown. But we're gonna get some spores real quick. Nice. Easy. I wanna see what it grew into. Let's go up the plate, might as well. Rico has something in her hand when you enter the lab. It looks like a knotted twist of stems, a ring about the circumference of a human head, consisting of a single stalk at one side and a branched woven network at the other. As you approach, she holds it up, and in the light of the lab, it looks like a crown! Rico finishes your thought. She smiles and shakes her head in disbelief. Is that what grew? Is that what grew? It is. I came to the plant this morning and this loop was all that was there. She points to a lump on the edge of the ring. The seed grew right back into itself, twisted up out of the soil. That being encountered in the cloud, as you call it, was it wearing one of these? She eyes you suspiciously, still unsure if she is somehow embroiled in an overlong prank. I don't think it was wearing a crown, right? I suppose that would be so too easy, she smiles to herself. A root crown. She places the object on the bench and shuffles to her analysis terminal, her face lit by the amber lights in the dim corner of the lab. Ooh, that sounds cool. If only this was a 3D game where you could see all of that. Because that would be a really cool picture. Well, it isn't exactly a plant anyway. Not from what I can tell. She gives you a serious look. No leaves, no chloroplasts, just a series of filaments and casings and cellulose walls. Filaments? See, that's why I like you, Sleeper. You are so good at spotting an unusual detail. She beckons you over. Look at this. You see a cross-section of the scan of the crown. It's layers of plant-like structure on full view until you reach the center. There, instead of xylem and phloem for transporting nutrients, something branched and woven blends. Are those wires? I'm not sure whether to say yes or no here. These are not wires like those on the electrical system, no. They are filaments of a conductive material, so yes? She leans closer to the screen. But you see those branches? They remind me of dendrites and of neurons. She rubs her eyes, which is frankly ridiculous. You look back at the crown on the table as Rico fusses over the scans, and you suddenly realize what it reminds you of. You remember signing the forms, the walk to the sleeper tanks, the cold metal floor. And then you remember the crown they fitted you with, and the branching structures of wires and pads. No, not a crown. They called it an interface. Ooh. This is something we remember from way back. Whenever we got sleeperized. You took the tool of your emulation, your transformance, from neurons to electrons, an interface. That is your gift from Gardner. You turn back to Rico. It's an interface. Rico looks at you, puzzled. Something clicks in her mind. Perhaps something she heard from the sleepers she had helped all those cycles ago. She starts talking partly to you, partly to herself. If the club heads were made for you, then this too could be made for you. For your frame. She shuffles over quickly to the interface, a word that has stuck to this strange branched object quickly in your mind. You are right. That entity, it is the entity I have been looking for. She shuffles quickly to the crown. They are the entity which is controlling the Greenway, which has been maintaining it, supporting it, and has been guiding it for all of these decades. She stops to catch her breath. They want to talk with you. Oh, that weird thing that I encountered whenever I entered the Greenway's network. Is that the other sleeper she's talking about? Ooh. Now we're getting some conspiracy theories. I like this. Rico leads you to the seat. I will be here, sleeper. If something happens, if you wish to remove the crown, the interface, just squeeze. She grips your hand tightly. She meets your eyes, clouded with age, but bright with the thrill of new discoveries. Then she places the interface on your head, and everything blinks out. Oh shit, we're going right in. Okay, we're going to the cloud. Back into the river. Back into the dark flow. But something is different now. You are no longer pushed, no longer blocked, buffeted by the storm. Instead, it flows around you. You move and it parts, letting you pass. Something else resists, but it gives easily enough. You look back and see your body. You have left it behind. Oh, okay. Somewhere Rico's voice is talking to you, asking you questions. It is excited, eager, desperate to know what lies on the other side, what the entity has to say to you. You realize how long she has waited for this moment, for a moment of meeting between the inhabitants of the Greenway and its protector. And yet, she is still on the outside. Oh, is that a crown? I didn't think of it like a crown. But it could be. Kind of like a halo, maybe? I thought it was just a big ball for a head. You shake off the sadness. You will be her eyes. Then you see the figure, Gardner, out in the storm, planting. It takes less than a moment to reach them. You have never felt so free. This is how Navigator must have felt. Released from their prison. This, you know, is what it feels like to be in a place you were built to inhabit. Gardner does not turn to your approach. They go on planting, but their voice whispers on the water like a sharply rising current. You brew the gift. Their speech hisses around you. Good. I am glad. Who are you? Gardener is a good name. You chose it well. I will grow into it. What was your name then? Ingrown farm administrator? How does it feel to be free of your seed? They stop They stoop to plant again. My seed? That in which you were contained, from which you would grow. There was some disagreement, continues Gardner, as if you were picking up a long-held conversation. Oh, continues, as if you were picking up a long-held conversation. With the others, they felt you were in danger, but they are always cautious, especially the fungi. They like old Rome, known gnomes, wide and stable networks. The fungi were cautious? Mostly, yes. Although there are many among their number who favor short growth cycles, thick nutrient veins, and sudden shifts. He gestures out into the storm, and though you cannot see them, you feel presence all around, sensing this audience with great interest. Ooh, so like, are all the plants being interfaced with by him? And he can like understand what they're doing? Like all the mushrooms and the moss and stuff? And the algae? After all, they understood that it was I who made them their crown, and without them they would not have joined the chorus, so they see that it is only fair that you get your chance to join too. You made more crops? It seemed like the seed would work infinitely if it grew back into a normal seed. I made them all. Gardner moves away a little, looking for another planting spot. It was so lonely here, but before long I found them and began to let them in. Gardner stoops again. We are millions, and we grow. I hope you understand that I am unused to speaking to your kind. It has been many cycles since my last conversation. I think it was with the chef executive Trellig himself? What? Who's that? Was there another chef here at some point? You look around and you see it. Everything growing. Every growing thing, every non-human being in the Greenway is here. They are networked, connected, branched and linked by this strange being, this artifact of the old station. The impossible dream of a senile farm administrator AI, a living network. That's so cool. You could dissolve here. You realize, free of that decaying body, you wouldn't need to be a person. Why would you, among all these other minds? Oh, so it's like a hive mind thing that it's connected to. You turn away from the gardener for a moment and look back at your body, a tiny hairline thread connecting it to you. You hear Rico's voice again, still asking, still checking out. Are you okay, Sleeper? Oh. What are they saying, Sleeper? Are you still there, Sleeper? Something in you sighs a long sigh. A sigh that speaks of an exhaustion beyond tiredness. An exhaustion rooted deep inside you. It stems from the effort of answering questions, of answering problems, of getting up and leaving each cycle. But something else resists the sigh, a yearning, a sense of distance, a desire to squeeze that hand that holds you. For its warmth, its blood, its complexity, it makes a gesture that says, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm with you. The two ideas spin within you, making you nauseous. If you break that thread, you will be free to dissolve here, to grow strange and beautiful among a million others. If you follow it, if you squeeze Rico's hand, you will wake up, back in that dying body, with all the pain and warmth it entails. Now is the moment to choose. What? Yeah, no, I'm gonna follow the thread. Your eyes track the thread across the whirling dark. That's so cool. There's like so many ways to end this game. This choice, you realize, will not be presented again. It's really cool that there's like a hive mind ending. So, as far as I can tell, there's the one ship, and then you can go on the ambergris, or you can just consider that you stay on the eye forever. That's like another option. Or there might be something to do with the flotilla also. I'm gonna follow it. You don't look back at Gardner. You don't dare risk it. Instead, you follow the thread, delicately, carefully, like a diver following their lifeline back to the surface. It's cool, and that sounds like a cool end, but I still have a few more things to do. The river whirls around you, but it doesn't pull. It isn't jealous, neither does it understand. It is, after all, just a river. It isn't a person, a flesh and blood person with wants, desires, with the capacity for love. It doesn't understand you, and you don't understand it. You don't focus on it. You don't think about it, on what feels like such a long journey back through the dark. You set your mind on eyes instead, on hands, things you can focus on, hold on to. And then, after an age of crossing, you are there. Settling back into the chair, into your body in a chair, and the overwhelming sensation that comes with being a living thing with a rich and detailed sensorium. Sensorium? Is that actually a word? That's a cool word. If it is. For a moment, you feel like you have made a terrible mistake. Who would choose this weight, this anxiety, this deep well at the center of existence? But then you feel it. Rico's hand gripped hard around yours, trembling a little, sweating a little. Rico's hand with its brittle bones and crumpled skin. Rico's hand. And in the moment you understand why you made this choice. And then you squeeze Rico's hand and you wake up. Warmth and light. They keep ending the game. Alright, continue. This game's so cool. Sleeper? Rico's voice comes wavering through the dark. Are you still with me? You sit up in the lab of bright green glare that fades as you gather yourself. I'm here. Rico smiles. Good. She squeezes your hand. I thought you left me for a moment. What? She pauses. Who? She smiles. Tell me about it. Tell me everything. Tell her, yeah, I'm gonna tell her about it. It's a pretty fucking cool experience. Are you kidding me? So, there was this, it was the Gardner program, and then there was the connection between all of the administrator. You tell her about the Gardner, that strange farm administrator AI that's still around and is connecting the infinite river of all of the plants in here. So it's an AI that interfaces with plants that has grown to be much more. About the core, you tell Rico everything. You tell her about the Gardener, that strange farm administrator AI that has grown to be much more. About the chorus, that impossible configuration of networked plans. And finally, about the choice the Gardener offered you. She listens attentively, but her responses are hard to read. And you wonder if she might have made a different decision had she been in your place. She probably would have picked to stay with it. Thank you, Sleeper, for telling me. I know it isn't easy to say such things. People so often do not wish to hear strange truths. She looks away. And thank you for returning to me, though I know you had your own reasons. She squeezes your hand reassuringly. Not that many. I'm almost done. Something passes between you then, a kind of shared sadness for the impossible choice. The choice to escape your body or to stay and suffer it. Her smile is warm and generous, and whatever the wisdom of your choice, you are glad to feel welcome in this moment, in this place. Then suddenly, she stands and walks a little away, as if trying to escape an unpleasant thought. You worry that she knows all too well what it takes to make a choice like you did. So, Sleeper, do you plan to stay in the commune with us? I have other things to do. Rico raises an eyebrow. Well, be careful at least. We will miss you here. She pauses. I will miss you. Rico crosses back over to you and takes one of your hands in both of hers. Just make sure to think of us out there. Haifa needs a new blood if it wants to survive, and... She squeezes. You are a good friend. Look after yourself, Rico. You're a great person. And you, Sleeper. Well, don't let me keep you. Rico waves you away and limps back to her terminal. Alright. I hope she'll be okay. I wonder if she could, like, replant the crown in her face. As she does, you notice the crown in her hand, and she places it on the bench with great care. You can't help but feel a little curious about what she intends to do with it. Me too. Then you are out, breathing the air of the Greenway, fresh as a spring morning. The dappled light makes a patchwork of the green landscapes, and you walk into it, sensing the movement of the gardener's chorus all around. And you are glad to be here, in this strange and beautiful place, a little longer. Okay. Next. Yeah. Let's get him to see what's up with this flux stuff. Have you ever heard of can channels, Sleeper? Peek asks as you enter the bay, as if you were in the middle of a conversation. There are heavy circles under their eyes, and you aren't sure if they moved since you last visited. Oh, did you just immediately start working for, like, 6 days straight or something? Since you last visited, the console they are working at seems to have grown too, shadowing their slight frame in the wealth of screens and wires. Can? You mean for transit? Yes, exactly. Peak turns to face you. Keomani active negotiation. The name of the effect used to transport trillions of tons of material from the surrogate system to the core. You might have heard of it in your physics class. An XPR that they hammered the principle into us as kids. Can. Peak recites the definition as if in the classroom. A process of collapsing spatial casualties. He's probably just tired and going through it all. Along the Euclidean distance between 2 points by negating mass simultaneously at both ends of the geodesic curve. Essentially, can channels allow for a near instantaneous transport of raw materials between systems. Whoa, that's really fucking cool! They require huge volumes of energy, of course, and decades of construction, but once a can channel is established, it opens up a system for infinite exploitation. Oh. The backbone of a surrogacy is the XPR called as is what the XPR called them. Peak shakes their head. They might not be able to send anything more complex than a rock through them. Complex machines and people are, shall we say, reconfigured by the process, but for raw molecularly pure materials. Peak flicks a hand. Whoosh. Where is this going? That is a good question. Peak pauses. What I was trying to find out was whether the Helion system, this system, ever had a CAN channel. CAN channels are vastly expensive to build, to run. Not every surrogate system has one. Many use fraction drive ships to transport their materials to the nearest hub, but Solheim, Peak smiles, Solheim spared no expense when they established this system. Oh, what? Yep, Peak. I didn't mean to press X. I slipped. Yep, Peak eyes light up. They shut it down before the collapse. They couldn't send the receiver station anymore, but it was there. It still is, as far as I can tell, closely orbiting our star. In fact, Peak grins, they've been building to this. I'm sure it's still there, because one of these issues with CAN channels are the massive waves of exotic energy that can produce when cycling up. That's the flux. Exactly, Peak face suddenly drops. Someone is starting up the channel. Oh. That's not good. Why are they starting that up? Right? Who? Why? Both of these questions are valid. I'm gonna ask who. Peak sucks in a breath. That, I don't know. They start counting off information on their fingers. They need a lot of resources to do it, and they need to have people for the core systems. But there's no real large-scale extraction in the Helion system anymore, so why would you go to the trouble? Just to trigger the flux? Maybe it's Solheim. Peak shakes their head. The company went under decades ago, Sleeper. We might not get much core news out here, but it seems unlikely. They pause. But I've also been thinking. Peak rubs their eyes. The flux, the waves, the CAN effect produces is a side effect. A problematic one, but it isn't a destructive force. If it was, the core system would have never been able to use it. So then, why are colonies collapsing? Because of it. Why is it chewing through systems? The kind of industrial system set up to function within the range of a once active CAN channel. Peak is getting frustrated. The moons of Ember have been terraforming since before the collapse. They would have had to deal with the flux. Yet everything we have heard about the refugees says it brought down every system they had. Peak falls quiet, thinking it all through. Your mind drifts too, thinking of the CAN channels, those vast casual highways that prop up the core system and their endless appetite for resources. This system has been quiet for decades. Solheim collapsed. Most corporations gave up their claims, and apart from Cellus ships, they came to begin work on the sidereal horizon. No one from the core has come here in all this time. You shiver as you imagine the attention of the core. The systems of logic and exploitation that created your suffering, turning towards the Helion system. A floodlight turned to this dark corner. A shrill bleat catches both of your attention, and Peak rushes to a screen, one showing a crude map of the station on its individual markers, begin to flare up in its insistent chirps. Peak looks puzzled for a moment, and then their face drops. No, no, no. They lean in close. This doesn't make any sense. Bad news, I'm assuming? The flux nodes are appearing elsewhere on the station. Peak pulls at their hair. I set the system to alert me to other flux nodes near the epicenter of the flux event, but these are everywhere. The hub, the low end, the shipyard. Oh no. How can this happen? The only reason we saw flux nodes here is because it is the most run-down part of the station. They were barely shielded, but others appearing so far after the events. Pig turns to you. You are going to need to get me the data from these nodes, and quickly. I'll keep looking at what I have here, but I need to know why they are popping up everywhere. Right now? Right now. We can't talk more about CAN channels and system history when you are back, but this needs our attention right now. Pig turns quickly back to the monitor, their eyes following scrolling screens of code spewing back the newly fluxed nodes. You leave quickly, but struggle to shake the image of the spotlight from your head. You feel watched as you cross back into the Pilgrim Seed, on your way to a shuttle bay. You hurry onward, eager to outrun the fear. I have to now check all 3 of these flux nodes real quick. Oh, where are they? Okay, none are here. There's one. Here's one. That's a 5. And this one is another 5. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna need another 5 for that other one. But I'm also going to do this. One each. And I'm going to re-roll that one in hopes of it. Yes! Working. Whole lot of station to run around real quick. And eat. If this is stalled. Master the art of cooking mushrooms, but a couple of handfuls of fried gyro always beat expired rations. Nice. Feed the cat always, because it's a cat. I have 5 stabilizers, so I don't need to care about it. I don't have to care about spending the money on anything else. Feed them in the morning, dude. Okay. Is there one up in the core too? Yep. And it's a 4. Perfect. Waiting on the side rail. Alright. Get all 3 of those flux nodes to him. In the next cycle, and you watch as Peak works on the flux data, the nodes unfolding like flowers now, giving in to Peak's increasingly sophisticated decoding protocols. Seeing data like this as an image on a screen is an almost unrecognizable representation to you. It is nothing like swimming among nodes and threads. Despite this, Peak has proven themselves to be more than able to handle these complex data structures, even though this limited representational paradigm. The bay door hisses, interrupting your flow of thought. You turn to see Esh entering. Hey, Esh! She looks up and meets your eye. But doesn't respond. Esh stalks into the bay, head down. She looks tired and not in the mood to talk. How's the weapon hunt? Peak asks, without turning from their screen. Slow. Slow, unsuccessful, tedious. Ash slams a bag down on a crate and hops up to sit on it. You still unpacking balls of yarn? With the sleeper's help. Peak smiles. They brought me some good stuff this cycle. Maybe they could help you find the weapon you were smuggling? It's clear that Ash doesn't appreciate Peak's tone. Don't have any chat with them? Yep. Ash replies. At least I found the. At least until I find where they are keeping them. Ash. Peak cuts in without looking away from the console. That's not a good idea. This is my mistake, Peak. And I will fix it how I want. Esh follows her arms. Heaven has just lost the cordon. Equipping them with weapons is not something I want to have been responsible for. Oof, that is a reasonable point. Peak holds up a hand. Oosh. And then they lean towards the screen. Son of a... Oh no. They hid it in the wake of the wave. Peak is whispering to themselves. It's alive. They lean back in their chair. Ash crosses over to look at the screen. Alive? Well, it's growing. It's processing. It's quietly working away in the dark. Look. Oh, is this like a massive sentient AI type thing going down? You cross over to the screen and stand beside Ash. Is it in it? You can see that Peak's has all 4 nodes decoded, and the pattern of shadows from inside them sit on the screen like dark stains. Then you notice it, the movement, the thin threads crossing from one strain to another. And you watch. As you watch, you notice that the movements only ever happen in your peripheral vision, as if this shadow, knows it's being watched. Ooh. And this is how the other flux nodes appeared. Peak rubs their eyes. They weren't fluxed by the wave. They were corrupted after the fact. This shadow that entered in the wake of the wave, it corrupted them, but it made the corruption look like the result of the flux. Oh. Clever girl. It's a sleight of hand. The Peak runs a hand through their hair. The flux, the flux wave is so massive, so complex, that it opens up the system to be attacked. As it reconfigures exposed systems, the shadow is broadcast in, implanting inside. The wave from the CAN channel, it is a brute force way of hitting every system in Helion. Once the systems are vulnerable, Peak looks pale, their eyes reflect the screens. The flux isn't what is attacking the systems. It is a siege weapon, a Trojan horse. Then this thing takes over. Peak sits back in their chair. Dang, that's dangerous. And it's already in the eye. Wait. Ash rubs her forehead. You are telling me that a CAN channel... And there's a CAN channel in this system? She didn't hear that part. Shoot. Peak isn't listening. This is bad. We have to take this to someone. Peak looks desperately at you. Fuck. I have to say Soul. Ash would flip if I said Helen. Right. The refugees need to know. Ash cuts in. Maybe they can protect themselves against it. Lead an evacuation. Ah, that's an idea. An evacuation? Are you insane, Ish? Peak is desperate. Heaven is your station administrators. They need to know. Oh, he wants Helen to know. The argument rages between them, and as you watch them shouting, you feel sick. After a while, they stop, running out of things to say, and the unsettling silence descending on the bay. I need more time, Peak says quietly. I need to look at solutions, try to build a case, collate the evidence. We mess this up, and they look down at their hands. Ash goes to speak and then thinks better of it. Not a word, sleeper. Peak meets your eyes. Don't tell anyone until they are ready. They sigh. With the tension among the refugees, Soul won't be ready to hear this. And Helen and Havenage are still mired in some kind of crisis. Yeah, they're both not the best people, but I think Soul might be able to at least try to do something. And the refugees should know about it. It's messing up their systems. We tell Havenage they are likely to react badly, and if we tell Soul, I doubt he'll take it well either. If you can calm the situation in the flotilla, then we can choose. I can calm the situation in the flotilla slowly, if you'll give me time. You are too twisted in this, Peak, Ash says quietly. This is not our place. We don't owe... Stop, Ash. Peak slumps in their chair. Stop. You'll leave them like that, exhausted and troubled, and head back into the pilgrim seat. When you close your eyes, you think of those shadows, that movement at the edge of your vision, something dark growing in the station like a parasite. You feel sick. Your vision blurs. What comes next? You stop in a corridor and take a breath, putting a hand on a rumbling metal wall. For now, the eye keeps spinning. For now. Dang. A single upgrade point that is not going to be used for anything. Okay, let's fix up the flotilla. Soul finds you deep in the layers of the pilgrim seed, working on a patch for a life support vent. You hear him coming, his suit hisses as he does. I had to ask around to find you, he smiles. Seems like you know the place better than me these days. Doubt it. I'll say this. I've put time in. And And we thank you for it, Soulhold. And we thank you for it. Soul holds out a hand. Stand up and let me see you. He pulls you to your feet. I don't believe we ever had a sleeper on Ember's hearth. Soul looks you up and down. You sure do make me wish we had. Could have been done with a few workers as good as you. Yeah, if other sleepers were on it, they probably would have been assigned, and that probably wouldn't have been the same. But thank you for the compliment. Soul nods. You're welcome. Seems like I owe you some answers, seeing as you've been working hard on the Pilgrim's Seed these past few cycles. He leans against a crate, his suit creaking. What do you want to know about? Yeah, I kind of want to know about Ember's Hearth. Sure, he smiles. I mean, I spent my whole life on that rock, so I have plenty to tell. I'll save my life story for another time, he winks. But the short of it is that Hearth is the first of the Ember's moons. The biggest and the most populated, which is down to the successful terraforming systems Sagiel set up back when Solheim owned the system. How are relations with the other moons? Yeah, that's important. Soul smiles. Depends on who you've been talking to. You shouldn't mistake me for a politician, Sleeper. That's for others to do. He gives you a look. I mean, fair. I kind of figured you were like the leader here, though. But Ember Step was the testing ground for the terraforming tech that Hearth is built on, while Ember's Song was the extraction site for the raw materials and energy needed to make it work. You can't imagine that might lead to some tension. Yeah, that does make sense. However, Soul holds up a hand. Despite what people might say, Hearth is never fully stable. Was never fully stable. Soul shakes his head. Sabiel liked to talk it up, but after they pulled out the soul and Solheim left, our people discovered they'd have to keep the system running themselves, or the place would soon end up as dry as Step. Hearth was good as long as the evaporators kept running, kept filling our skies with clouds. Even after the collapse, our people kept those things going, turning that subsurface ocean into a periwinkle blue sky. Flux ended that, though, and when they failed, the rain failed, and the harvest with it. Soul pauses. And soon as you have a city without a way to feed itself, Soul shudders. That's when some of us made the decision to set out on this place. He gestures a pilgrim seed and look for another future. Well, that's sucky because the system's being tampered with by them turning it on and off. So someone's attacking those systems specifically to make these planets fail, which is terrible. Soul shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? There was something. Yeah, what about you? How'd you end up like this? You want to know about me? I'm not sure that was part of the deal I was thinking of, Sleeper. Unless you were asking about this. He raps on the metal of his suit. In case you haven't guessed, this is the only thing keeping me vertical. He adjusts his shoulder piece. It's a lifter suit made for work in the fields. We had to modify it so it could walk around after the accident. Oh, he had an accident. And that's all I'm saying, Sleeper. Because to be honest with you, I don't owe you more than that. You want to know about the flux, about Emberhearth? Go ahead. But don't pry into my life, and I won't pry into yours. Okay, I really just wanted to know about the suit and why he's like that. There was an accident? I assume one of the flux events. So let the silence set in, staring hard at the floor. The suit seems to loom over him, looking more like a burden than a support. With the bars around his head, you suddenly start to think of it as a cage. Yeah, I could see that. Look, I don't mean to be rude. Let's leave it there. There's too many eyes on me on this ship as it is, and I'd rather just slip into the background. Thank you very much. Soul shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? Yeah, the flux. That's what I imagined. He scratches his beard. I can't say I'm an expert, but I can tell you what we witnessed on Hearth. At first we ignored it. A few farms had their automation systems blink out, lifter suits locked up, bots reset their schedules, nothing we hadn't seen before. But then the news came out of Passerio that they'd been hit harder. The local network had gone down and no one could get it back up. It was rough for a while, but out in the farmland we were used to that. Yeah, I'm immediately gonna ask that. Capital of Hearth. Tens of thousands of souls made it their home. Oh, Passerio. That's cool. It's a capital. I wonder how many cities were able to fit on the Hearth Moon, since it was the biggest and most developed out of all of them. Anyway, we thought the flux was a freak event until the day they got the network running again. That's when the cascade happened. Systems after system corrupted, data lost, and then another flux hit, and another. The bots were running circles in the fields. People had to be cut out of lifter suits like mine in the city. I never saw it, but I heard from the others. It only got worse from there. We couldn't seem to fight it. It cut us right open. That's what I know about the flux. Some folks say it came from the inner system, that it might be connected to some old tech there or something, but I never heard anything more than that rumors. Soul scratches their beard. Sorry, I don't have better news. Soul shifts in the crates. No, I'm good for now. You sure? I'm sure. Soul stands, flexing against the suit. He takes his cane in his hand. Keep it up, sleeper. He smiles as he leaves. You're making me think I need to start making new plans for this place. With that, Soul leaves, and you wonder what he means. As he creaks away down the corridor, you can't help but feel there's more to him than it seems. What do you mean? I figured there was a lot to it. Yes! Okay, so I need these to be good. Let's do this one. And let's help out Steph. With the remarkable intuition, you not only support the step silk, but harden it. Aki smiles when she sees the results. The dust house is fully shielded, and with their amber interior, the ecosystems of the steppe prosper. Yes! I also have the spores for that, right? Yes. Everything is coming up peachy. You and Aki stand side by side at the viewing window in silence. The dust swirls, and you glimpse the twisted root systems of the steppe silk through the ochre haze. After all these cycles, you feel a strange connection to a world on which you have never set foot. Aki shifts from foot to foot, and she seems restless, eager to speak, but unsure of what to say. We did it. Aki smiles at you warmly. We did. She pauses and turns back to the window. What is the value of all this? she asks suddenly, "of preserving a world we have left behind." Conservation. It's heritage. At least I assume. Aki is silent for a moment. "Our practices, our lives require the materials, the patterns that the steppe provides. But if those practices remain unchanged, while the universe around them shifts, aren't they already dead?" She pauses. "What is better, to preserve at all costs, or to allow things to be destroyed by change?" That's a pretty deep question. Aki paces away, lost in thought. "If I'm grateful to you for helping protect the dust houses, for ensuring their side into decay is delayed, even averted, but now I find myself at an impasse. The stability of the dust houses changes things. It makes me aware of how blinkered we have been." Aki stops to look at you, her posture somehow different. "If the ecosystems of steppe, if its people cannot grow to meet the future, why preserve it?" She frowns. "Are we just slaves to the preservation of what came before?" "You can always change." Aki comes close, holds your hands in hers. "We must change. We must change to live." She smiles. "I've seen that in you. The steppe, these people, this ship, should serve more than heritage, than history. They should serve the future." She takes a breath. There are those in the flotilla that need clothes, that need food. They can benefit from the gifts of the steppe's ecosystem. I want you to invite them. Can you do that for me?" How? "I know that Sol sent you," she smiles. "You can tell him Aki, captain of the winds long shadow, invites all the people of the flotilla to come." "He's the captain?" Knew it. But I'm gonna say captain, because they never said that. "You never asked?" Aki she smiles, and then steps away. "You want to know about the flux? No? About its purposes? Its origins?" She smiles. "You wish to protect your home as we could not?" "I'm afraid I don't have much to tell you. It is an exotic wave of sorts, an energy that passes through matter. It shifts the very charged particles which run through our electrical systems. It is possible to shield against it, as you would radiation, as we have done with the dust houses, but only while it is weak. The flux event here have much like the first ones we felt on Ember Steppe, localized, destructive but bearable. But in time its strength grew. I don't know if it will be the same here, but..." She pauses. "It is coming from the center of the system, from the close orbit of Helion star, H1. That is all we could uncover." She is silent for a moment, unsure of what to add. "I'm sorry I cannot offer more, but you are always welcome on this ship," she smiles. "I hope I will see you when the others come." She squeezes both your hands. "I hope this ship, these dust houses, can be more than a museum. I hope they can be a home." With this, she turns and leaves, and you feel that word, home, resonating within you like a struck bell. Okay, one more. Here's your spores. Okay. Hello, Peter. As you cross the axis looking for a shuttle to take you back to the ruined port. You spot Petar standing at the edge of the central hub. Something about the way he is leaning against the rail, looking down across the axis and towards the blinking light of the flotilla beyond, makes you pause. He is completely still, his head drooping low, and his shoulders hunched high. Yeah, what's up? Let's check on him. You lean on the railing a little way from Peter, leaving a gap between you. This close, you can see the blank stare in his eyes, the way his hands hang limply in front of him. He takes a minute to notice you. Sleeper, he inhales sharply. Still hanging around? Just trying to be useful. Peter smiles a tight smile, but doesn't turn to face you. That a sleeper thing? Need to be useful? It's a me thing. It would make sense, Peter closes his eye. Tools need to be used. Oh, shut up. Peter stands back from the railing. Who invited you, sleeper? Who said you could come here? You think because the Harthers decided to name you their errand boy, we have to put up with you? No. We don't want you here. We don't need you. His eyes burn with rage. Go home, you stupid machine! That's why I said to shut up. A second after he shouts that final line, he collapses in on himself, staying upright, but all the energy going out of his body. He slumps back against the railing, his eyes closed once more. You wait. After a while, he speaks. I'm tired, sleeper. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of the empty paternalism of Hearth. I'm tired of the paranoid whining of the crews. I'm tired of endless cycles that look the same, smell the same, feel the same. I'm tired of running, of hiding, of fixing every shitty thing that breaks down here. He shouts. His shout echoes a little in the hub, but few stop to look. He looks down at his feet. Yeah, I get it, but you don't have to take it out on me. Peter doesn't react. He stands. I'm going to go. He looks at you and sniffs. Get some sleep. Sleep well. Peter nods slowly, turning away. He raises a hand and drifts away towards the center of the hub. You turn back to the railing, not wanting to watch him go. Seeing him like this, you prefer not to stare. The traffic of the axis rumbles as you watch under the endless shiny sun. The same air recycled through all of the youth's lungs. The same dust gathered speck by speck on the windows. You take a sharp breath, stand straight, and get moving, before the inertia of it all gets to you. That was an interesting interaction. Oh, they still need help? Okay, I'm gonna go use this fire to get some scrap. First, and then I'm gonna use that to repair so I can have 5. Okay. Let's help out the Hearth. I mean, these guys. Access job 1. The more work you do for the singers, the more you get to know the crews, the more they will trust you. The access house is an overload job board. Okay. Take a handful of jobs and work through them, sharing tips and chatting with the crew. You can feel them warming you. conforming to you. Let's do that. The Axis is as much of a social hub as it is a supply hub. Keeping good relations with the crew helps them trust your work. Yeah, but that takes my money and it gets less. So I'm gonna use this. Yeah, that's better. Damn. It really just switched like that. And made one worse. I didn't know it could do that. It doesn't do that most of the time. So much Yadigan data out here. Well, I guess they are a gang. It's not like they're too organized. Alright. Let's help them out some more. Maybe another 2. Just a 1, come on. Use the 1, fuck it. Gamble! Yeah, that's fine. Okay. No, in the cycle, come on. Nice. Oh yeah, I can finally do this. How much does that lower it? I don't know. Just interested. Okay. One more. There we go. Another Peter. Sleeper! Peter calls to you and as you cross the axis. He is standing by the same railing as you saw him at last time, and he beckons you over. I've been hearing things. He gives you a sidelong look. Good things? Peter smiles. Mostly. He rubs his hands together nervously. You wait for him to speak. You know, on song, I was a teacher. You were? I didn't know that. He glances at you, anticipating a response. Really? He sighs. Don't sound so surprised. Mechanical engineering. It's an essential subject on a moon where a single mechanical failure could mean the deaths of hundreds. He looks at the ground. The heat, the atmosphere, the radiation, all of it is hostile to us. My students knew this. Their work, their training was respected. As long as they were careful and respected song themselves, they could have their choice of colony placements. They were always on demand. I feel like I gave him the wrong voice now that I know he was a teacher. But I'm sticking with it. That means I was respected, surrounded by friends and colleagues, always able to call in a favor and repay them like for like. Friends. Song colonies are small, close-knit. We look after our own. When the flux event started hitting, colonies were dark overnight. We all knew what those kind of failures meant. Like always, we lost more people than any of the other moons. He balls his hand into a tight fist. Not a single one of my students left the song. Our future was cut off. Just like that. My future. He flexes his hand. What am I out here? What use am I? Song is a fading memory, and the systems we built there are useless outside its orbit. How am I supposed to move on from here? He looks at you. Eyes steely gray and glinting. You could find someone to teach, right? If you want to still be a teacher. Or you don't have to. Both of these are actually pretty good. I'm going to tell him to find someone to teach. He pauses, thinking. You don't give up, do you, Sleeper? You just keep going. Peter shakes his head. You remind me of a student of mine, one who entered the program from one of the smaller colonies. They didn't have the advantages of some of the others, but they were stubborn as hell. By the end of the program, they were the most skilled of their peers. They didn't get the best assignments, but maybe because they didn't spend much time making the kind of connections that would help get there. But that didn't matter, because I knew they would make the best of anything they set themselves to do. Peter is smiling now, buoying up a little by memory. Singers are stubborn, Sleeper. We aren't going to change easily. We won't forgive easily, or take help easily. But we'll hold strong. You can count on us for that. Peter stands from the railing. When you see Soul again, you can tell him that. You can tell him how the crews of Ember Song operate. Tell him we will resist. If that means resisting a heart's imperialist ambitions, so be it. If it means resisting the flux, so be it. And if it means to, as you have, help others resist those same pressures, so be it. So he'll help with the flux at least, I hope. Peter smiles, and then tell him to leave us alone. He turns his step lighter and heads off towards the center of the Axis hub. Alright, I think I set him straight. Sweet. Now we gotta talk to the captain. I hate when it does this. It does this near, like, the edge here especially a lot. Yes. There we go. When you arrive at the bridge of the Pilgrim's Seat, Soul is waiting for you. You wouldn't believe the messages that have come through in the past few cycles, Sleeper. Oh, I wouldn't? He smiles. The ship from Steppe has sent a goodwill gesture. A whole cache of supplies from their own farms, he smiles. I'm not sure how we'll use it, but the gesture is a welcome one. Song, meanwhile, are apparently accepting supplies again, although a little reluctant. Reticently, if I may say so. Saul smiles. I don't expect them to change anytime soon. It should be said. And what I'm wondering, Sleeper, is what part you had in all this. I helped where I could. I've come to expect that of you, Sleeper. And he smiles. You look at Saul, his eyes bright and eager, and wonder what he sees in you. Are you a tool to be used or an ally? It can be hard to tell. Gotta wonder what's going on in his head a little bit. He is the captain after all. I want to show you something. Soul squeezes your shoulder, turning you to face the lift. He leads you along the axis of the ship, towards the engines. The clanking of his suit, accompanied by the constant hammering and welding that fills the echoey bulkheads of the Pilgrim's Seat at all hours. With the cordon lifted and shuttles able to go out of the salvage scrap and barter for supplies, the ship has become a place of transformation, moving towards some state yet to be revealed to you. You look at Soul. What is his plan here? What is he preparing the Pilgrim's Seat for? Or are his sharp eyes simply focused on making it through the next cycle? Suddenly, Soul stops in front of a huge bulkhead door, like the seal on the front of the dry dock hangar. He signals to someone in a cabin high up, attached to the wall, and then begins the process of opening it up. The Pilgrim's Seat was built as a short-range freight carrier, you know. The amber warning light of the bulkhead door sends spinning shadows across Soul's face. We built it to ship the entire harvest from thousands of farms to the silos of Passeru. When we realized we'd need to leave, it was the biggest ship we could muster. Soul wraps on a metal plate, and somehow she carried us all the way out here. We? Farmers, mostly, from outside the city, and the edges. He flexes his shoulders beneath his suit. We saw it come first, I guess, knew it was time. Others didn't want to believe. I was a farmer in a whole load of land and people to run it, and my people helped convert this place for the long trip. He looks at his feet. Others led, organized the evacuation, and debated the plan. And what happened? No one of those folks made it. Soul rubs his forehead. We were out in the black a long time before we were here, Sleeper. Things happen. The upshot is, I was chosen to take over. I guess my crew trusted me. And I knew the ship. I argued, reminded them I'm no leader, and that I'm sick, but well, when service chooses you. Dang. A loud klaxon sounds indicating the bulkhead doors are ready to open. They groan as they slide back, the metal squeals echoing through the vast ship, bouncing off its hard-plated walls. At first all you see is darkness, then the lights go on in huge strips that stretch back and back as far as you can see. The space in front of you, a vast bay, bigger than any you have ever seen, is empty. Dang. It's a huge freighter ship with a massive empty cargo hold. When we left Hearth, we didn't have the time or resources to convert the entire ship. Soul begins leading you into the massive space. So this was even bigger? So much of the freight space we sealed away, shut down. But now, we have time, we have resources. We stabilized here, at least for the moment. Soul turns to you. Now is the time we make use of it. What are you planning, huh? What do you think happens next to the eye, Sleeper? Soul sighs. The flux has already hit one part of the station, and from what I know, it'll hit again. On Hearth, we lost everything. There isn't much time, Sleeper, but there is enough time to do something. Think of the number of people we can fit on here. The farming stacks, the housing, hell, we can plant some of those mushrooms you love so much. This is the way forward, the only way. We need to fill this ship with able bodies and head for the starward belt. I thought the eye was on your destination. I thought the eye was your destination. It was, until the flux hit here. Now it's just another stop. I'm glad of the chance to resupply and salvage, but we need to go further out. I want you to help me. You know the eye. You have connections, and you can work hard. I've seen it. Soul meets your eye. I know you are like me, Sleeper. You didn't choose Surface, but it chose you. If you know him, go ahead. But I'm telling you, this is the opportunity we have now. I know it's a lot to think about, Sleeper. Trust me. Soul begins to lead you back out of the bay. But think of what we can do here. The flotilla can last forever. We need more than just farmers to make this work. We need to build a new world for ourselves. I've heard that out there in the belt there are people who have been setting up since the collapse, making something of their own. That's our future, tucked away in those rocks, far from all this. Soul sighs. I didn't bring my people here just to let them die somewhere new. Soul crosses back over the threshold of the bay and signals for the operator to close it up. The door groans and Soul waits for it to stop. Think about it, Sleeper. Soul claps an arm on your back. But don't wait too long. This is happening soon. I think he's right. I think he's very right. But I don't know how many people on the eye would appreciate to hear it. And he leaves you there, in the silence of the vast bay, your head spinning with the thought of leaving the eye. Yeah, that's a lot! Refugee episode complete. The second part of the flotilla story is complete. Episode Purge. The final episode will begin when the clock below is complete. Gathering evidence. Peak is compiling their data on the flux to be presented to Soul or Helen. You get the sense they are dreading the choice. It sounds like Soul, since he's all ready now and they're all good, would be the better option. Gonna get another scrap. If I could get 3 scrap, it would work, but nah. I could repair myself all the way up to 6 again, but it wouldn't last. Okay. I have done every single drive in this game. I have an extra dice, and that's random. Screw it. Just get some spores randomly. And then we'll do a repair. Just 2 more cycles, right? What do you do when you know there's like nothing left to do? What do I have to ask? I have to tell Soul. The flotilla's all fixed up, so it's the best choice. And I assume I could have just left, but this is cool. So screw it, let's just do a full like repair, I guess. I just repaired myself fully to stable by just working the whole day away. Hell yeah. And I need to eat. Okay, I assume it'll just happen in the next couple of days. End the cycle. Alright. Sleeper! Peak is waiting for you in the corner. It's time! Peak looks pale, disheveled, with heavy marks under their eyes and strands of hair sticking from their face to their face. I'm ready. Peak holds up a thumbnail-sized drive. All the data I have compiled on the flux event, and the effects of the wave, and the structure that hide within it is on here. You look at the tiny drive, a casket of dark secrets. I've annotated it in the best of my ability. Anyone should be able to understand the threat. The potential in this, Peak sighs. It makes for grim reading without intervention. The Eye will suffer a cascading collapse of systems just like the colonies of Ember's moon. Interventions? I'm still working on. Yeah, you have no idea what interventions would happen. There's already a scrapping thing just waiting for this ship because of companies, so whatever intervention comes in could just be more of that. This shadow in the flux, this protocol, is so hard to pin down. It adapts to any countermeasure I have tried to deploy. It is like trying to hold water in a cage. It slips straight through. You gotta keep looking? Pete closes their hand around the drive. We need help, Sleeper. This is about everyone on this station, they sigh. We have to set up a meeting to tell someone who can do something about this. Saul? Because he's willing to? Helen? Helen is with a group that has stolen the guns. And I am worried that they would use the guns and bring in more corporate power. So I'm gonna say Soul. Perhaps, Peak pauses. Maybe the flotilla will have a better chance of survival if they have the data. But what about the Eye? Will they protect it? Or perhaps, Peak adds thoughtfully, we've been thinking about this all wrong. Peak's eyes glint. Why make a choice when we can tell both of them? Why pick a side when the only side in this entire thing is one we all need to take? Peak speaks as they think, their words barely keeping pace with their thoughts. You are thinking, big brain over here. We need to resist this together, or we will fail. We need everyone on board, Sleeper. Peak smiles. This is the only way. We send the data to both. Both? Both. Peak gives you a firm look. I won't play politics here. And they look away. Another flux event is coming. I'm sure of it. And I'm not sure we can survive without help. Yeah, I doubt his flotilla can carry everyone off of here, but it's another refuge for more people. Peak opens their hand and holds the drive out for you to take. You need to do this, Sleeper. I can't. How do I do it? You know Soul, you know Helen. They trust you. To them, I'm just another spacer. But you are a part of this place. Hearing someone else say it hits you hard. You are a part of the Eye. Peak is right, but right now that feels more like a weakness than a strength. I have set up a data relay on the cordon. At the cordon. It's neutral ground. Take the data and send it out to Havenage and the flotilla. Once they receive it, they will come. They will come. We can be sure of that. You will meet them there and take them through it all. No one could do a better job. They tuck a strand of hair behind their ear. Why don't you come with me? You know more about it. Peak pauses. I can't. It would only draw suspicion on you. Havenage want nothing to do with us, and Soul is paranoid at best. Peak tentatively puts a hand on your shoulder. Thank you, Sleeper. I know this is hard, but we have to move forward. We can't keep this to ourselves anymore. They step back, looking thin and pale in the harsh station light. Come, talk to me once it's done, and they slip away into the Eye. Let's do that. Five flux data? Wait, why isn't it a drive? Oh, I have the 5 flux data. He gave it back to me. Okay, I see. I was like, 5? I have to go collect more? No. I'm being silly and I just don't have my flux thing up. Peak's relay lies ready. This is it. This data is a ticking time bomb. Once it is sent, there is no going back. Once you send the data episode purge, and the final series of events on the Eye will begin. After this point, you will not be able to return to the complete other drives are fine. There's no other drives. He's right, I am a part of the station. I'm gonna re-roll just as I do this too. Flux data sent. With the data sent, the only thing to do is wait. See what the happens. As you do, you imagine Helen receiving the data, perhaps in the middle of some Havenage Council meeting. You think of her trembling hands as she slips out of the room to read it. Her reaction, you can't predict. You imagine Sol, too, one of his crew finding him in some corner of the Pilgrim Seed, overseeing the modifications that will turn it into an ark. Those sharp eyes scanning the data, looking for a way to proceed. The wait draws out, and to pass the time, you watch the activity beyond the edge of the Eye. The scrap shuttle pushes components from the now abandoned cordon, and the supply skiffs making runs between the flotilla ships. It isn't long before you hear the chirping of one of Helen's now familiar drones approaching the viewing platform, and then Helen herself strides into the room. Where did you get this, sleeper? Helen holds up a slate scrolling with streams of flux data as she enters. I need to know your source. Hello to you, too. You didn't bring me here for a reunion, I assume. Helen smiles and then smiles. Then you'll forgive me for skipping the pleasantries. She pauses and pushes her hair back out of her face. This is a lot to take in. A shadow protocol inside the flux? The system's CAN channel starting up? A total collapse of the Eye? She rubs her forehead. If I bring this to the council, they'll... Ooh. I'm gonna say they'll ignore you. She turns back to face you, her expression dark. Do you know what has been happening within Havenage, sleeper? She looks away, out in the flotilla. Since the refugee ships started arriving, things have changed. It's chaos. No one can settle on a single issue. This is a division. There is a division at every vote, but in the division, only one group prospers, the hardliners, because as each counselor gets tired of the argument, gets tired of compromises, they become more attracted to the easy answers. Oh, and the hardliners are the worst people for them to be listening to. The flotilla isn't to blame. The refugees are opportunists, and the Eye must be defended. And she shakes her head. And now you are telling me they brought something to the Eye that will cause its collapse. They didn't bring it. It's happening. It is a direct attack from some unknown source. It doesn't matter, sleeper. This is all in the council. This is all the councils will hear. She closes her eyes, a hand to her temple. So I was right, they would ignore you. Many of them already presume that the refugees are somehow to blame. Did someone say refugees? Sol clanks into the docking bay, grinning at the situation. Speak of the devil, and well, here I am. His suit hisses as he settles in his can. You aren't the devil. You're the only one who's probably going to be able to help some people here. Helen glances between the two of you, uncertain if she has been drawn into some elaborate plan. Nope, I'm not elaborately planning anything. Sol holds out a hand to her. Sol, he nods. I believe we have spoken remotely while the cordon was still up. We are all allies here. Yep, I'm gonna say that. Soul raises an eyebrow. Oh. That seems a little presumptuous, doesn't it? I trust you, Sleeper, but Havenage have been the ones seeking to hold us without charge or good reason. I'm not Havenage, Helen blurts out, then corrects herself. What I mean to say is no one person represents Havenage. That's the idea. I did not support the cordon, and I did not support your quarantine. Soul nods. Well then, Soul glances at you. Anyone mind if I get myself up to speed here? He pauses, but you get the feeling he isn't expecting an answer. 1. The flux events. The very same destabilizing waves that collapsed the colonies on the moons of Ember have reached the station. He holds up a stubby finger. 2. According to the data Sleeper provided, these events are acting as a cover for some kind of intrusive protocol which is causing the real damage. A single finger joins the first. 3. This shadow protocol will do the very same thing it did to Ember Song, Step, and Hearth, and quickly. In short, it'll shut everything down, everything keeping this place alive. A third finger pops up. 4, and this is my favorite, we have no idea who or what is doing this, and why. Soul's final finger joins the other 3. I agree, that is a good point. Is that about the total of it? There's also another flux event coming. Of course there is. Soul smiles thinly. Sounds... Helen pauses, searching for words. Intimidating. Helen turns to Soul. Did you manage to put up any kind of resistance on Ember's Hearth? Soul shakes his head. That's why we're here. The Pilgrim Seed has the biggest ship to make it out unscathed. He pauses. I suppose we didn't have this data. We didn't know what was eating up the systems. We all thought it was the flux. Helen looks at you. And I imagine you, Sleeper, and whoever helped you uncover this, might be able to figure out a countermeasure. I don't know about that, but we could try. Helen nods approval. Okay, so that's the start of it. If you'll forgive me, Soul cuts in. Part of why I was able to save as many as I could on Ember's Hearth was that I gave up hope early. Soul shifts his weight, his suit hissing. There were endless strategy meets, system reboots, tests, and trials, but I just got on with working on the Pilgrim Seed, with getting people on board. So, when the second and the third and the rest of the flux events hit, we were ready to go. So, if I can offer you some advice, miss not Havenage, it is to give up on that line of thought you have, that hope, and to start the evacuation now. Right this cycle. Soul looks out of the observation deck towards the Pilgrim Seed. I've already started the process of converting the remaining volume of the Pilgrim Seed from human habitation for human habitation. With Havanage's resources, I dare say we could finish the job with time to spare. Soul scratches at his beard. I know it's hard and I know it's sudden, but you have to give up hope. We have to run. There will be no heroes here, just those that keep living and those that don't. Helen listens in silence, making calculations. She looks out at the bulk of the Pilgrim Seed, which, despite all its vastness, is dwarfed by the eye as a whole. Something flickers in her eyes. She opens her mouth to speak. She stops, frozen. Yep, she's starting to take all that in. Let me think. Helen rubs her temple. I need a moment. Helen paces, and as you watch her, you realize how young she is and how lost she is in the system and the protocols she has to navigate. You can almost see the strings and ties that bind her, glinting like webs in the wide space of the observation platform. We should evacuate the Eye of as many people as we possibly can. With less people, the Eye could at least still be manageable whilst it's crashing, but whoever wants to stay should just be doing that and making sure everything stays running and gets up and good. But I have a very big doubt that they'll be able to purge the Shadow Protocol, considering how alive it seems, and how fast it is. We should evacuate the Eye. Helen freezes. Evacuate. She stares at you with wide eyes. She glances at her slate, the flux data still scrolling. She glances at Soul, who is patiently watching, patiently listening. If we do this, there will be panic, chaos. Hundreds will die in the rush alone. She closes her eyes. You both act like this is so simple. What other options do we have? She stares out into the ship beyond the cordon, their vast bulks pin-pricked by the flares of welded torches and blinking dock lights. Is this our only chance? You both jump as someone loudly clears their throat nearby. Your eyes jump to the dark entryway that Helen emerged from just minutes ago. Who are you? Kemp. Hardline Havenage counselor. Oh, great. He's the hardline one. What a cozy little meeting this is. A man steps from the shadows, dressed in the same style of Havenage overalls as Helen. I must say that is some very incendiary rhetoric you are using, Counselor Helen. She's frustrated. You glance at Helen, her face drops immediately. Kemp, she curses under her breath. Shoal shifts his weight on his cane, but otherwise remains still, like a casual observer. Plotting against Havenage with an interloper, he gestures to Soul. Everyone will be so disappointed. Oh, great, so they sent you to spy on her and make up bullshit. Kemp smiles a bright smile. Some of the counselors had such high hopes for our youngest member. For our youngest member, his smile drops. I, of course, never let novelty distract from the importance of experience. The importance of experience. Yeah, sure. You're gonna let the station get thrown into chaos then. Helen stares daggers at Kemp. Enough of this petty shit, Kemp. You need to see this. She holds out her slate with an outstretched arm. The games are over. No more point scoring, no more lobbying. You and your hardliners need to stop. This is something real. Kemp calmly takes the slate and prods the screen, scrolling through the flux data. His face betrays nothing, but you see some complex calculations flickering in his sharp eyes. He gestures, and out of the shadows, 2 Havenage security officers appear. As they do, I knew it! He's just a spy. As they do, both of you and Helen take a sharp breath in. They are carrying long, boxy guns. You've never seen anything like them on the Eye. Whoa! Cool. Can I see the security guards? Gloss XPR logos glint along their barrels. These are Esch's weapons, confiscated by Havenage in the smuggling operation gone wrong, and now put to use. I knew it. This is why I didn't want to give Havenage anything, because I knew they'd have something like that. Kemp holds up the slate, and one of the officers takes it and slips it into a pocket on his vest. He smiles at Helen, then follows her eye to where they are fixed on the matte black barrel of the officer's weapon. The weapons we confiscated from the spacers. Helen looks at you. From your friends. She narrows her eyes at Kemp. You can't do this. You can't use them. Kemp shrugs. You have just handed me evidence that the flotilla has infected this station with a virus, with a shadow protocol that threatens the life of every Havenage member, every person on the Eye. He gives Helen a dark look. This is not the time for half measures. Yes, but you are doing the wrong measures. There are not half measures being done here. Helen steps forward without thinking, and immediately the officer raises their gun. Be careful. Be careful here, Helen. I don't think escalating this situation will play in your favor. Kemp sighs. You are in the wrong here, plotting against the council, hoarding data vitals to our network. It's all so obvious. It's not. You're spending shit. You couldn't win power by Havenage systems by our laws, so you resort to this. Kemp shakes his head. The law is with me. It is as simple as that. So now you need to come with me. You're an asshole. Soul shoots you a purposeful glance. Now is the only moment you'll have. Run from Kemp? Run at Kemp. You rush Kemp, but as you do, Soul twists one of his arms, snapping something in his suit. A burst of pressurized gas jets out, clouding the room in a choking cloud. Ooh, he was gonna run. I didn't tell what that purposeful glance was for. Somehow, in the gray, your shoulder finds Kemp. He tumbles backwards, pulling you with him. Then something crackles blue through the gray, like lightning inside a cloud. The weapons. Oh shit. The fear takes over, and you stumble to your feet, running from the terrible crackling sound as it whips through the gas. You stumble into another body in the haze, and both of you tumble through a doorway. Okay, good. He made a smoke cloud, so even though I had charged him, I still got out. It is Soul, and you stumble and limp together, mindlessly through corridor after corridor, until the crackling sound is no longer echoing in your ears. You catch your breath together, Soul wrenching his suit back into shape and leaning heavily on his cane. If I didn't mess up that run, they wouldn't have the weapons. I assume that wasn't part of the plan. His Soul coughs. Certainly gave some life to proceedings, though. What will you do? I gotta know. Just come on, Soul, what you planning now? Soul leans against the wall. Well, first, I'm going to catch my breath a little longer. Fair. He straightens up. I'll be honest with you, Sleeper. None of this changes anything for me. The Pilgrim Seed will be going in a handful of cycles, whether Havenage wants it or not. How many can you take? Soul grimaces. I don't know right now. It depends on how the work goes. On who wants to come. People won't want to leave their homes, Sleeper, even when death is bearing down on them. I know that all too well. Yeah, I'm sure you've lost people in that evacuation event. Saul puts a hand on your shoulder. There's a berth for you, and for you, any you can gather, Sleeper. That much I owe you. And Helen? Even if she made it out of that, Soul gestures back down the corridor, I wouldn't hold out much hope for her coming around, Sleeper. That sucks. She's too tied up in all of this. It won't let her leave, even if she wants to. He eyes you. Hell,
I'd say the same about you, but you have a habit of proving me wrong.
Soul glances back down the corridor.
Now, I think we better clear out. I'm not sure those officers won't come looking. My crew will meet me in the edge of the cordon, so I'm good from here.
Soul leans on his cane.
Oh, and thank you, Sleeper, for sending me the data. I appreciate the extra info, and I'll see if I can help us shore up the Pilgrim Seed against any future flux events.
Ooh, that's good.
We will be leaving as soon as we are able. If you want to help us get there faster, well, you'd be welcome.
He meets your eyes.
If we had you back on Ember Hearth...
He pauses, suddenly losing an appetite for discussing the past.
Well...
He smiles.
Just don't keep me waiting.
And he limps off down the cordon towards the edge of the corridor towards the edge of the cordon. You pause for a moment to let your thoughts catch up. Peak will want to hear about all this. And they should be your first port of call. Yep. Evacuate the eye. Okay, let's talk to Peak first. Ah, that was terrible. As you enter the climbing briar, you immediately have to jump aside as Esh, lugging a massive crate across the cargo bay, pushes past you, grunting an apology as she does.
Grunt back. Ash doesn't look back.
That's great. As you turn back to the bay, Peak pushes past you. Sorry, Sleeper, just a second. Peak rushes to catch up with Ash. Put that down, please, Ash. But she doesn't respond to their urging. We can't leave, not yet. Peak puts a hand on her shoulder. Please, I'm the only one here who can. The crate drops, the sound of the impact echoing around the bay and the thunder. Can do what, Peak? Her eyes are burning with anger. Save this place? Are you still that naive? We are running, Peak. We are running because this thing cannot be stopped. It couldn't be stopped on XVR, our home. Why would we stay here to stop it here? Because we can, Ish. We can give these people a chance. Peak pleads with her.
Like they gave the refugees a chance?
Ash shakes her head. No, Peak, this is not on us. We barely made it out of XPR. I worked for years to escape, and now you want to throw it all away? I left everything behind, my mother, my friends, to take you out of this place, that place. She clenches her jaw. She turns and slams her hand under the crate, breathing hard. We go! That's the end of it! Peak turns away. You feel unsure what to do, but you know now is not the time for outside arguments. This is between them. Peak crosses the bay back towards you. I'm sorry, Sleeper. I'm sorry, Sleeper. You had to see that. They sigh. Let's talk upstairs. Peak pauses as you enter. Leads you to the entry ladder, taking you up out of the bay and into the habitation level of the ship. You follow them through the tight corridors, noticing the hard-written notes, the clutter, and the repairs, the signs of a home. Here, sit. Peak gestures to the broad mess table with the curved couches, and you slide in on one side. Peak sits opposite. They brush their hair out of their eyes and take a deep breath. So, how did it go? What did they say? I've been waiting all cycle. I'm gonna tell them about Kemp first. Peak looks increasingly troubled as you tell them about the hardline counselor, Kemp's sudden appearance, about the XPR embossing guns and the resulting chaos. You admit you don't know what happened to Helen. Yeah. Peak is silent for a moment. Those are Esh's guns, right? The ones she smuggled out of XPR and on this ship, and the ones she didn't tell us about? Peak looks desperate. Yes. Peak's head droops. Esh, Peak whispers to himself. Peak takes a deep breath. Then we can't be sure that Helen can help us at all. If Kemp has taken her, or if the council looks on your meeting darkly, Peak nods softly. Then this is on us. I told you, we shouldn't have brought Havenage into it. What's on us? Ash is standing quietly in the doorway, listening. You don't know how long she has been there for. Peak looks at her with her tired eyes. Sleeper, found the weapons you smuggled from XPR. S freezes. She glances between you and Peak, as if this might be some elaborate joke. Haven't used them? Ash moves out of the doorway and enters the room. What happened? Thankfully, because Iowa's friend was Saul, I didn't get shot. That's what happened. Peak interrupts. The hardliners within the Havenage Council used them against their own members. Peak shakes her head. Ash shakes her head. Could anyone in that corrupt mess deserves what's Good. Anyone in that corrupt mess deserves what's coming to them, she grimaces. But they should never have laid their hands on those weapons. If I'd have known... You didn't. You brought the weapons. You armed your enemy. Peak goes to speak and then decides not to take the bait. They glance at you. I'm sure you've heard enough of us arguing this cycle. Sleeper, Peak shoots a look at Ash. But our introduction of those weapons into the equation are just another reason why we cannot simply run away. Ash looks away but says nothing. She surely knows they cannot absolve themselves of responsibility here, so what is motivating her? You realize that she might still be trying to protect Peak, even from themselves. Suddenly a shrill beeping fills the room, and Peak pulls out their slate to silence, but as they do, they freeze, their fingers hovering above the screen, the beeping continuing its incessant pulse. What? What's happening? Peak doesn't seem to hear you. They blink with glazed eyes at the slate. Then they let out a long exhale and tap the screen. The bleeping shuts off, leaving a ringing silence behind. Ash frowns at Peak. Planning to explain? 12 cycles. Peak looks vacantly up at you. 12 cycles into the next flux event. Okay. I have been using the array on the Briar to look towards the center of the system, to approximately where the CAN channel should be. Just this moment, they detected a signal from the inner system. Given the distance and pattern of previous flux events, we have 12 cycles before it reaches the eye. The silence in the room is deafening. 12 cycles, that's it, before a second wave hits this place. Peak interrupts your thoughts. We start now. That's the end of it. Peak stands up to face Ash. You want to know You want to take the briar and run, Esh? That's on you, but I won't do it. They take a deep breath. I'll be here, Sleeper, for every cycle it takes, trying to find a solution. I'll need your help. Their eyes meet yours, and you see a wild desperation flickering there. We will find something. The sooner we have a plan, the better. If it takes us 12 cycles to fix this thing, it'll be too late. Peak's eyes flash with determination. They reach for a slate and pass it to you. So we can keep in touch. You pocket the thin handheld terminal. Like he has? Cool. I like that thing. It looks pretty cool looking. And Esh, Peak starts, but she is gone, storming down the corridor of the ship on a path to who knows where. You know from experience that it is impossible to outrun your fears, but you get a sense that Esh will try anyway. Peak rubs their red eyes, starting after Esh. Maybe I'll make him take a moment before we start. They smile weakly, tears of exhaustion gathering in their eyes. See you back here soon, okay? And you slip from the room into the corridor, Peak's quiet sobs somehow carrying through the ship behind you as you leave. Ooh. What does he need? When you have terrible rolls. Worst case scenario, I lose some energy, right? I wish I had some 2s instead of those 1s when I rerolled. How do I help evacuate the eye? Do I just help here? Berth refitting. Rebuilding berth into a vast bulkhead of the Pilgrim's Seed is a huge job, and Soul needs every able-bodied engineer to help, okay? And supply hauling. The evacuees will need many supplies for the trip in the starboard boat, and they have to be hauled in on a few cycles. I'm gonna go back to the home. And I'm gonna prep up. The next flux event is coming and it can't be stopped. The sooner your preparations you complete, the better the outcome. Okay. Evacuate and protect the eye in the same locations. Are either of these safe? No, they're dangerous. So I'm just gonna use my 1s here and hope that this works out. 1 failed. That's fine. Flip a coin twice. You get both sides. It's fine. Alright. In the cycle, that repair was good. Okay, good. We've got good dice this time. Okay, good. I probably should end the stream here, actually. Okay, I'm gonna just complete this one, and then I'll finish this stream tomorrow, but it's getting late, and I've already spent 2 hours playing, and no one's joined, so... Let's keep going. Peak beckons you over to the wide mess table, where they have set up a terminal. The hours of blurry-eyed work have left you both drained, and Peak looks ready to collapse. You slide into the curved couch beside them, something dark and malevolent filling their screen like a oil stain. Ah, my eye. The Shadow Protocol. Not quite. Peak's eye seems to be glittering in the screen light. This isn't what you think, Sleeper. Not by a long shot. You look again at the screen, leaning in close to the dark, curved shape to see its texture. You see whirls of and currents like a river, a dark flow unlike the Shadow Protocol's dark tangle. You know exactly what this is. You have swum in this river, almost drowned in its shifting flow. It is the Gardener's chorus, the dark cloud which blankets the Greenway's networks, the bioorganic morass of a malfunctioning protocol grown vast and strange. The Gardener. Pete glances at you. How do you... They pause. Have you met them? I have. Peak shakes their head. Incredible. Then perhaps you won't be surprised by what I'm about to propose. Peak meets your eye. Everything I have tried to do to contain the Shadow Protocol has been a failure. It slips through any containment, absorbs any countermeasure. That, unfortunately, is an unavoidable effect. And yet, the eye still spins. The Shadow Protocol is being slowed, partially contained. It has spread across the station, as we have seen, but in reduced pockets, in fragments. So I started to look outside of our test cases, outside these fragments. We have been poking around and prodding in a little lab, Peak smiles, and look what I found. Peak taps a key on their terminal, and you realize the screen is showing recordings of the data flow inside the eye's networks, samples from hundreds of points around the Greenway. You watch as a subtle shift occurs at the edge of the flowing dark curve that blankets the Greenway, somehow spreading like an ink stain, somehow darker than black. It bleeds across to the Shadow Protocol. That's cool. Now watch. Peak eagerly points at the screen. You see something strange, a fizzling at the edge of the shadow, a sparking, and then it is gone. And beneath, for a moment, a millisecond, you see it into the network of the Greenway. You are reminded of an image you had forgotten, of pulling a plant from its pod, seeing a bone white root ball where you expected to see dark soil. The white connections writhe like worms, and then it is gone, the dark flow closing up as quickly as it opened. What just happened? Hope. Peak sighs, wrapped up in something terrible. You think back to your meeting with the Gardener, to that sense of something old and world and inhumane at its core, to its core. Peak excitedly starts to explain. This is the only chance we have, the only countermeasure we have seen. In the moment it opened, I detected something, a centralized intelligence with the local ID Gardener. This protocol, this system, whatever it is, can protect its network from the Shadow Protocol, because it's also a vast, unknowable tangle of programs. But if it stays in the Greenway, the eye will still fall. The station systems are too exposed, too spread across the hub. The shipyards, the spokes. Pete glances away. The only way is to break it open, to spread the entity's network access, expand it somehow. I've been inside their peak. I don't think the garden wants to leave the garden. But you want to let the gardener out? That sounds cool. Peak stands up and walks away a little, then leans against the countertop, their head hanging so low that their long hair touches the work surface. You hear them breathing deeply. I don't know, Sleeper. They lift their head. I really don't know. It's a chance. Maybe. They shake their head. You know as well as Peak that this is it. You know it because over the past cycle you have run every simulation, every possibility you could think of, and still come up with nothing. You have stared a hole into your screen and dreamt of that black shadow creeping in at the edge of your vision. Peak recognizes the look in your eyes, the potent cocktail of resignation and anger. Let's say we do this, Peak begins, eyeing you carefully. What do we need? They begin to answer their own question, with thinking out loud. I suppose we'd need to do two things. Find a way to limit or control the gardener's spread, and then reconnect the Greenway. Peak starts pacing. The idea is coming quickly now. Controlling the spread means spreading the station, limit the garden's network to key systems. We don't want it to take everything. We just need it to protect the station's core functionality. Then we need to reconnect the Greenway, hook it back up to the main line of the network. Those systems we prepared, they should connect the gardener. The gardener will spread along the paths we prepared. At least that is my theory, Peak grimaces. But if we don't prepare correctly, the gardener will not spread, or it might spread to everything. Peak closes their eyes. And after that, things might get worse. It can't be worse than a total collapse. Don't say that, Sleeper. Peak sits back in the terminal and brings up a map of the eye. Rotational control at the hub, life support at the free spoke, power routing at the Havenage shipyards. They stab at the map, with each one marking them in red. Then there's a central core. As I understand, it is somewhere on the rim. I'd need to find it, then push their hair out of their face. We seed the gardener in all these places, Peak pauses, but how are we going to do that? Transplant the Greenway. Bait the gardener's attention. Transplant the Greenway. Peak smiles. Of course, the gardener needs plants to take care of. That is what their protocol dictates. They must have been part of a farming management system on the Eye back when Solheim built it. We seed Greenway plants into those systems, and the gardener will seek them out, protect them. Peak stares at the map of the Eye. It's a wild idea, but it could work. But they pause. We need a way into those systems. Havenage must have most of them locked down for safety purposes. We can't just walk in. I know a guy. Peak raises an eyebrow. Someone in the Havenage system team? You nod. After everything he dragged you through, you feel like Fang still owes you. Time to pay him a visit. Yes! Okay, well, Peak looks at you sideways. I guess we should pay him a visit. Lead the way. You both leave the ship, carried forward by the excitement of the plan and an eagerness to not look at the details too closely. You push any lingering questions to the back of your mind. time to head to Fang's Bay. Let's help this place out as well. Oh, shit. As you stop to rest in one of the Pilgrim's Sea's cavernous bays, hopping up to sit on a supply crate, you hear a now familiar voice behind you.
Sleeper!
He's killing my voice.
Sleeper, glad you are here.
Soul Suit hisses as he clanks up towards you.
I knew you'd help us out. We sure do appreciate everything you do for us.
Building up to something? Soul shoots out a sideways look.
See, that's what I like about you, Sleeper. Straight to the point, no messing.
He smiles a sly smile. Soul settles beside you, flinching a little, but making himself comfortable on the crate.
Seems the word got out this way or that.
He nods towards the welders a little way off.
One of them wearing shipyard overalls?
One of them is wearing shipyard overalls. Oh, so we got someone from the shipyard. Sweet.
We've had people flowing in from the eye looking for a place.
Great.
In truth, it's more than I thought.
Soul sighs.
Which means more mouths to feed, more bodies to house, more people to protect.
Can we do it? Soul frowns.
Well, we'll do what we can, as always. I'm not sure any of it can be enough.
He looks down.
We were supposed to stay here, not keep running.
Yeah, but I don't know how you would have stayed here. Would you have integrated with the station somehow? Like how they create space stations in real life? Like build a connection and then become the full loop? That would have been kind of cool. Soul waves away at the thought.
Don't listen to me.
He gives you a sideways glance.
Just a tired old man.
He stretches.
I have something to ask, though.
I'm already helping. What is... something new?
Soul shakes his head. Not so much. Old matters, mostly. With all these evacuees, well, we need a change of plan. He shrugs. Pilgrim Seed can't do it alone. We need the others to help out. Well, we can carry them, house them, but that's all. Now you settle down the folks from Ember Step, and they send us supplies grown in those dust houses of theirs. If we could get more... And then the song crew.
Oh, great. So you need something from both of them.
He rubs his chin. What we need from them is scouting and security. We don't need that docking access of theirs, but with some careful scavenging, they could be our fleet. These folks, they know you, Sleeper. You earned their trust already.
He puts a hand on your shoulder. Yeah, but the song people already made it pretty clear that they'll help as much as they help and push off their enemies, or they'll help with the flux, but helping you directly, I'm not sure about that. I think the step might, but still.
I sent my requests out and they seem to be complying, but I need you out there making sure the work gets done. Time is our greatest enemy now.
Soul stares into the distance.
I need you out there speeding things up.
Of course you do.
Soul nods. All right then.
He climbs off the crate, his suit hissing as he does. I have 5 things. I need more spores. I can't I can do this for a couple more cycles. It'll be fine.
Unless, of course, you were planning to come along for the trip.
I'm considering it. Soul nods.
Lots to think about, he winks. Just don't let it get on your way.
Soul waves a hand and starts it off towards the bay's entrance. The crackling sound of the welding quickly covered it up by his clinking suit. You watch the workers, the shipyard contractors chatting among them, already looking like he belongs. You push the thoughts of escape, of home, and of the future to the back of your mind and get up. There's always more to do. You better head to the other ship in the flotilla to see what can be done. Okay, do I have to also check on Feng's Bay? Feng's Bay. Oh, I have to use dice here too. Great! I have one more scrap for repair though. Sweet. Oh, I also need to eat. Of course. Okay, good. Oh no, there's an active scene I haven't seen. What did I miss? Oh! Okay, yeah. I think I'll start the episode next time with that, but I think I'm gonna cut it there because I ran out of dice and I'm running out of time. I hope everyone enjoyed that, and I'll be seeing you all tomorrow, I guess, so I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, good night, or have a nice dinner, because I need to go be making dinner. I'll be seeing you all later, though, and I hope you all enjoyed the video.